All right, I'm going to start right at 1 for our time management, and it's 1 o'clock. So we're live on Facebook. We have Brant Phillips. He is an EXP realtor and very well versed in really a lot of the investor space. Brant, I was mentioning just before you got on to the people that are some of my realtors that are on, is that how my thought to this topic, and I thought of you immediately, was, we from the lending end, we hear realtors a lot, of course, during the inspection period, they get from clients like, oh, well, more or less, how much is that going to cost? And so I always remember that really cool tool, and you've got some really quick things that I thought could really be beneficial to realtors in helping them just have some talking points, nothing official, but just have some talking points with clients. So I'm going to get you started on that. First, I just want to let everybody know our virtual coffee talk has a sponsor. Azúcar Loca is a local coffee brewer. He's amazing coffee. At the end of today, we are going to pick a name of one of our attendees, and you're going to win some Loca bucks to try some coffee. So we want to thank Roger for sure. Brant, I'm going to make sure that I can have you. Do you see the share screen button, Brant? I think I enabled it to where you could share screen for your setup.
Yeah. And
okay, cool.
All right, I was going to ask you about that because I will probably need to share my screen.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm just going to let you start talking, and any questions, if you could just put it in the chat, because we'll probably have quite a few attendees today. So chat would be a great place and I'll manage the questions. So tell us what we need to know.
Sorry, cut off. What did you say?
I said, tell us what we need to know about estimating repairs, and that was kind of really just that might lead to some other things. Tell us about you and all that.
Yeah. So my background is, investing. That's how I got started, and 14 years ago almost, and knew nothing about real estate, nothing about construction, estimating repairs, any of that kind of stuff. And I remember this good friend of mine, still a good friend of mine today, it was an agent. And I used to bug her so much with, hey, I need to look at this house, and can you get me a showing over here? And I need comps. And I remember, I had read a few in real estate investing books, and I remember going to look at my very first house, and I'm like sitting there looking at it, and it needed work. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know if this needs $10,000 or $110,000, because I didn't know, is the foundation bad, the roof, AC, all this kind of stuff. I had no clue. So yeah, that's how I got started in real estate, was knowing nothing and no experience, no background or whatever. And that was 2007. Bought 10 rental properties that year, and I've done a few hundred deals since then. And we buy rentals every year. We do a lot of fix and flips, done a lot of owner financing deals, closing today on a 51 lot subdivision down in Brazoria. I'm excited about it.
Nice.
It's just a ton of work, and I'm learning, like, there's all these new things with this that I have to estimate that I've never estimated before, including almost a mile. Well, it's about 3/4 of a mile worth of road work, and the road is horrible. We met with a contractor yesterday, and I didn't think I was going to get the response that I got, but I asked him, I said, man, have you ever seen a road this bad? There are potholes this deep. There's like, like potholes in potholes, right? And so
that's scary.
Yeah, I was like, dude, have you ever seen a road this bad? And I'm expecting, oh yeah, we see them all the time. He's like, no, I never have. This is the worst road I've ever seen in my life.
So you've got to estimate where you're used to estimating, easily, like in the back of your hand, a home, single family residence, cost. You're having to do development costs. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, cool. Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Yeah, I pulled up some slides from a live event that I do, Wealth Passage Live. and basically just all about real estate investing. Do you want me to pull up the tool first?
Whatever you think is gonna help them. That's
Okay.
great.
I guess I'll pull up the tool
And
first.
just for everybody to know, I am, you know what? Yes, I am recording this, so we'll send it out to everyone that attended as well. You can
Okay, great.
watch away.
All right, so y'all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so years ago, after a few years, 3 or 4 years of just investing, and I went full time a couple years after I started, and I was going full time into the investing world, and I had a business partner of mine. We launched a construction company, and then people started asking me to speak and all that, and it's very time consuming to go out and bid real estate projects. So I created this software, whatever you want to call it. It's a spreadsheet. We'll call it software. It sounds fancier, right? To say software.
Very fancy.
Yeah. So we created the spreadsheet, and to give people not a way to 100%, not 100%, dial in all of your costs to a T, but to give you an idea of what it is. And now it's not working. Hold on,
So
maybe.
if people wanted to go to this, it's free rehabestimator.com, right?
Yeah, it's free rehab estimator, but it's not working. So some may say you get what you pay for. But let me figure out if it's working on another browser real quick. Okay, cool. Thankfully, I've got a full-time web developer on the team, so I'll have that fixed very soon. Okay, so let me show you what you get access to when it actually works. And he was playing around with this this hosting provider, whatever you want to call it, earlier. So basically what we put together is you're going to get access to a spreadsheet. I promise you that it will be working by tomorrow. Actually, I'm sorry. If everyone can give me 2 seconds, I know how. I'm just going to share the link, and you don't even have to share your info. Let me grab it real quick.
So while you're doing that, anybody, any questions that you're going to have, just anyone listening, just put them in chat, and I'll manage those.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are talking
Here
about
it is.
Rehab Estimator.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So this is what you get access to, and basically what I did years ago was I created a spreadsheet, like you see the spreadsheet version, and we built out all of our pricing for our contractors, whether it be roof, foundation, concrete, exterior painting, or whatever, and we plugged in basically our cost of labor and our cost of materials. And that's how we bid all of our jobs, right? And we knew what our cost of labor was and our cost of materials were for the most part, for most of the jobs that we did, because we have a very cookie cutter approach to investing. We invest in the same types of kind of similar properties over and over and over and over. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, 1970s, 80s construction, yada yada yada. So it was we're able to streamline it pretty well. So when people started calling our construction company and they were basically kicking tires, like it was a property that they didn't have under contract, they weren't sure about, maybe they're just getting started. We obviously didn't have the time or resources to go and meet people for every single job. So we created this rehab estimator. So it's pretty easy to use, just to ballpark things. And so, if 1,500 square feet, you just start plugging in, it'll typically ask for square footage. It'll ask for, a number of doors. There's 3 doors, et cetera. And you can go through all of these categories, I guess you would call it, and areas of a house. And we just broke it down, tried to make it as easy, as we could for the layman terms, for a layman to do this type of work. Because when I got into this business, like I said, I didn't have any construction experience. And we played around with, we launched a construction company about my third year into being in real estate, and we were doing a lot of business. So I started researching construction software platforms, and I was like, I don't understand this verbiage that they're using, right? It's like gypsum, beam, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, just say sheetrock, dude. Like, we don't need to get into the whole gypsum thing, you know? And they had all this terminology that people who aren't with, you know, that don't have a construction background just didn't understand it. So we created the free rehab estimator just to kind of help people that are in a similar situation that I was. And I didn't know what's the price to reglaze a broken window. You know, what's the price to install a new double pane window? So that's what we did.
I do have a couple of questions, Brant, that are coming in the chat. Are the costs, are these costs ultimately what you think an end user would pay? I mean, is it realistic, or is it, because I know that you have access to different subs as, of course, as doing this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's pretty reliable, or should they beef it up a little bit?
Well, I think they should beef it up. And I don't think we've updated this in a few years. Yeah, so you could just, you know, update stuff. That is a good question. And also, you know, this is built on what I call investor-friendly pricing. I built it out with our contractors that we do a significant amount of work for. And so for us, we just remove the commission because we're not paying a commission because we're
so you think 20%. So basically they could, when you're using this, you could input 20% commission, and probably then it would be more close to, because I think on contractors, you should expect they're making 20%, right?
Yeah, at least, but they may have a higher, you know, labor cost for you though, working with you, because it may be a one-time job versus we were sending, you know, we're doing 40 or 50 jobs a year with our guys. So I would increase it quite a bit, you know, even like 30%.
You think? 30?
Yeah, well, at least. And like I said, I don't think we've updated this in a couple of years. But if anybody emails me, I'm be happy to give them a spreadsheet, and then they can kind of build their own template if they want.
So what is your contact info?
Yeah, they can use Brant, and just use this one, Brant at investhomepro.com is fine.
And Brant is B-R-A-N-T.
B-R-A-N-T. Now, so the important thing for people to understand, like with something like this, is I say this a lot, when it comes to estimating repairs, it's more important to be comprehensive than it is to be accurate. I'll say it again. It's more important to be comprehensive than it is to be accurate. So I wouldn't worry too much about getting an exact price for each line item, right? But I would worry more so, or be concerned more so, making sure that you have a number and a guesstimate in every line item. Because if you miss a line item, you've put zero into your cost, and there's going to be a cost there, versus let's say that you bid something to be, you know, $4,000 and it's $4,500. Well, okay. I mean, that's not great, but it's a $500, you're off on that.
Well, so it's probably good when people are using these as talking points to give like a range, and then say, you know, obviously different contractors might have different commission. This is going to give you just a ballpark of, I mean, are we talking 10,000 or are we talking 50,000? Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's,
yeah, like I would,
a good gauge.
Yeah, that it's just a good gauge. Like I said, I just built this to be helpful, say, not, you know, I wasn't going out to make it even like a big lead gen thing of like, hey, here's our pricing, here's how we do it. Feel free to, you know, plug it in to, you know, if it's helpful to you, but just to give people a ballpark. And that's what I've told people, like, hey, if this gets you within, you know, 10 to 20% of what your, you know, final price is, then that's pretty good, because I've seen people be off way more than that, including myself, when I was getting started and I had no idea how to price things.
Now, when you tweak these, I'm assuming it's based on local Houston cost. You're in Houston. So are these, I mean, you said it's a couple years old. So do you think that these costs have gone up a little bit as obviously demand has gone up?
Yeah, and then yes, and also for people that are in different markets, you know, East Coast, West Coast, Austin for that matter, have no idea what, you know, construction pricing is for
So
other.
this is meant to give people just an idea, but definitely not, don't rely on it, disclaimer, right? Don't rely on it being 100% accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And
just
so
it's a place to start.
just a place to start. You get a ballpark. So I'm going to hop to my slides from estimating repairs and okay, a quick rehab analysis. So what this basically does is, and I'll hop back to that in just a second. What the free rehab estimator does is helps to give you a good, what I just call it, kind of like a phase one rehab estimate, where it's a ballpark, where, you know, this is good for investors to gauge, hey, is this thing worth pursuing further, and gives them a way to do that quickly, or for agents working with, you know, homeowners, sellers, or buyers, most likely, just to say, hey, let's invest a little bit of time to see if we are even in the ballpark before we go to phase two. And phase two is really just getting bids. You know, people, it's accurate estimating. So you're going to have to get accurate bids from trustworthy contractors to get an accurate bid. So to be quite honest, this is how I estimate repairs to this day. I don't use a spreadsheet or any software to analyze deals. I just kind of do it in my mind with the quick rehab analysis formula, and I'll leave this up here for a little bit. This is, once again, typically what my rehabs cost, and I haven't done this, even updated this one in a while. So there's probably a 10, 15% increase now over the last couple of years, especially as the good old government and our friends at the Fed are printing money. Things don't seem to go down in cost, do they?
Yeah.
I'm missing something.
Well, I'm looking at a house, and the clients are like, God, how much would it be to paint this? And it's a $2,000 square foot house, a 2,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
Basically $10 a square foot for just the paint, or paint with flooring and just miscellaneous little things.
Yeah, that's if it's like a 1,500, you know, square foot home, for example, 1,500 square foot home. Let's say it's like a 1990s or 2000s construction, and it's super clean, but it needs to be painted, and it needs like some carpet and some tile and stuff like that. The bottom line is, we don't get in and out of very many properties with at least spending $15,000. You know, I see this
boilerplate lipstick.
Yeah, just lipstick, 15 grand before we even blink an eye. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, oh, I just need some paint and carpet, 5K. No, my friend. You know, very few deals that we buy. And like I said, I've bought hundreds. It's very, very rarely are we getting out from a deal with spending less than, you know, 15, 20K for that matter in rehab.
And that's on a 1,500 square foot house. I mean, if you're talking, so that's where the $10 a square foot comes in. And does that include, now they should increase this a little bit for labor, right? Like increase it 20%.
I use this for material and labor. What's my total cost going to be? This is just a ballpark. And I have a video on YouTube with one of my acquisition agents or friends went out to analyze a deal, and we were on FaceTime during a coaching call, and I just like, okay, you know, I'm looking at it, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, and I just kind of go through my thought process. I will tell you that most deals that we buy, once again, you know, 1970s, 80s, maybe 90s construction that are not gut jobs, they're just outdated and they need a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They're usually around in the $20 square foot range per square foot. Plus, but notice here I put plus major components because you're typically you're going to have a couple of other major components. The three, I call it the big three. It's really these guys here: your roof, AC, and foundation. Very rarely do we rewire. We are repiping more for 1960s and 70s homes. And we don't do a lot with sewer lines or concrete for that matter. But I will choose one of these cost per square foot. Typically, it's in this range, okay?
15 to 20.
15 to 20 per square foot. So our 1,500 square foot home, for example, if it needed 20, if I'm guessing, spitballing, kind of just shooting from the hip, hey, this looks like about $20 a square foot, then that's going to be $30,000 plus some of our big ticket items. If it needs a new AC, $5K. Needs a new roof, $5K. Foundation, $5K. And yes, by the way, roof, foundation, and AC, our ballpark number is also $5K.
For each of those?
Yeah, because if it's that 1,500 square foot home, we can get a new AC still done for $5K today. We can still get a new roof done for $5K. If it doesn't need a bunch of decking, it's just shingles. Foundation on average is around $2,500. So that's about a lot less. So if you're not sure, just say $5K.
Up to 5K.
Bump it up to $5K. If the home you're looking at is 3,000 square feet, then double those numbers.
Double the
use
number.
the same. You use the same cost per square foot, unless you're talking about luxury. Now, also our rehabs are starter price rehabs, right? They're kind of builder grade, so to speak, right? Yeah. But you know, we just bought a new home, or not a new home. We just bought a home that Jennifer Hernandez from Legacy Mutual Mortgage is happening to refinance, and I feel really bad for the seller because I saw some invoices that they shared with us, and you know, they paid close to $20,000 to get 2 ACs replaced and $29,000 for a new roof, and that was not with decking.
Wow.
You know, I'm like, geez, we could have got that done a third, you know, of that cost. But that's what people do when they pay retail. They just don't know.
So can you repeat your information again? Someone in the chat asked how they could get a hold of that spreadsheet. Anyone who's watching this later too, can you repeat your email, and she can email you to get the spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, my name is Brant at Invest Home Pro. I'll throw, I think I've got like a bio slide or something like that. Yeah, Brant at Invest Home Pro.
Brant, B-R-A-N-T at investhomepro.com.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
I think
cool.
I've got a little.
Yeah, keep the questions coming. So You've also got a lot of really great, keep that up because we might need to get back to it. So they could, to get the rehab estimator is free rehabestimator.com.
Yes, that is free rehabestimator.com. And
so if they get on that, they'll just
right now, but my web guy will get that fixed right away.
And if they do that, I'm sure they have to put their email. They'll be on your blast list just in case. He does put out really good content, by the way. And you've got a really good YouTube
Thank
YouTube channel as well. You put up great videos. You've got a podcast, and is that Invest Home Pro on YouTube?
No, my YouTube channel is Real Estate Fundamentals.
Cool.
And that's what we teach, fundamentals of real estate.
So I have a question. Let's say I'm a realtor, whether I'm new or not new, it doesn't matter. But let's say I'm looking to beef up my list of potential places to vendors to point clients in direction. Like if I want to make sure clients don't have that 20 grand bill like that guy did for 2 ACs, like where's a good place to start? Like how do you go about gathering info for these trusted vendors, like Angie's List, or like what do I do?
Well, so what I would recommend whenever, you know, real estate investors, for example, ask me like, hey, how do you find good contractors? You know, there's the old fashioned way, which we've done, is just kind of, you talk to people. We used to put out ads in Green Sheet, yada, yada, yada. What you really, you know, want is what I said, investor friendly contractors, meaning they have investor friendly pricing. So, when it comes to those kind of guys, and I need to think about this for a minute for like a traditional agent for a retail homeowner. But what I recommend people do is, you know, you don't really want to work with a contractor unless you have some good references. So one of the, you know, best places to get references for contractors are other agents. And in the investing arena, I encourage real estate investors to talk to hard money lenders, talk to other investors, like talk to wholesalers, talk to people who've done business with these guys and hopefully multiple, you know, deals, or rehabs or just work. So that's a good way to vet them out. I've never really used, you know, Angie's List and some of those other platforms. So I
They're paying
can't,
to advertise essentially.
yeah. So I
You
would
know,
suspect those are good, but
I did get a good, I needed a good home media person. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Nextdoor. And I actually got, like, some guy was recommended like 8 times in my area. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call him because I need somebody. And he did a fantastic bang up job. So, you know, maybe apps like Nextdoor where you've got homeowners, and definitely rely on reviews. Yeah, I see Pam, you're shaking your head. Yes. So if, you know, I just thought I'd bring that up because I thought someone might be asking it, because it is hard to know who to trust. So definitely encourage, you know, referrals and all that good stuff. So this does have to do with investing or rehabbing, but I'm sure other people have the same question. Are you starting to see a market shift yet with like prices going down or up, or like what are y'all, the foreclosures increasing? What are you, just in a blanket observation, what can you tell realtors?
Wow. So prices are not going down. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, not below
Whenever,
like 300, right? That's what I'm telling people.
yeah, no. Whenever going into this year, I had 4 of my rentals that I was ready to sell. I've had some for quite some time in different reasons, that particular submarket. And so, you know, I said, hey, told my wife, my assistant on my agent who's on my team said, hey, I'm going to sell these properties this year. So leases were coming due and things like that. So between February and March, you know, end of March, going into early April, we had told the tenants, hey, we're not renewing. And we told them a couple months ahead of time, hey, we're not going to renew. We're going to look to sell these properties this year. And so I had those 4, plus I had 2 other rentals that were kind of unforeseen eviction kind of stuff. And one we evicted, one just bailed. And so it was unfortunate. So I don't deal with a lot of that. But I found myself with 6 properties that were vacant, going through make ready. I decided to spend a lot of money on make-readies, obviously. And then I had 5 other, single family flip properties that we were working on rehabbing to put on the market, and my personal home was on the market. All of this right before COVID happened. So I was sweating profusely because I'm like, oh God, what?
That's 12 properties.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, oh geez, what did I get myself into? And so all this started happening. I'm like, man, this could get really ugly. And for all my other rentals, I'm like, I don't know if tenants are going to pay rent now because everything on the news says don't pay your rent. So long story short, every single one of those properties that I put on the market, and some didn't even go on the market until May, are either under contract or sold, with the exception of 2. And one's a condo. It's kind of a weird thing. And the other one's like this little like mobile home thing, very far away. So those are kind of like outliers. They're kind of strange anyways. Everything else not only sold quick, like very, very quick. That was as low as price point 139 up to 475, I want to say. So even though the 475 thing went on under contract the very first day. So
we had I call listing agents on every offer that my clients are making just to, stand out, right? Because tell them, we're a good lender, local and all that. And this house, they were offering 171. I think it's like south of town, kind of South Houston. She's like, okay, there's 17 offers. I was like, I hadn't heard that in a while, but there were 17 offers. So yeah, it's busy. That price range is busy. I do have a question. When do you think you'll start to see foreclosures, like for realtors where their clients are, of course, asking them, oh, I want to, the market's going to heck and there's going to be all these foreclosures and I want to get me a good deal. They're getting those questions, I'm sure. So when do you think that foreclosures are going to start to hit the market?
I don't know. This is not the same market as 2009. With our market right now, what is helping us on, there's always a yin and a yang, right? So what helped me sell my houses quickly and what's helping other home sellers right now, I think this is a phenomenal time to sell your house. I think this is a phenomenal, I need to stop sharing my screen. I think it's a phenomenal time to sell a house because supply and demand. So many people, because of COVID, have basically, who were going to sell their home, have just decided not going to sell. Job uncertainty. They don't want potential people coming in, infecting their home or whatnot, because of the disease. And some people said, hey, we want to buy, or we're ready to move. No, we're just going to stay where we're put, because basically those same reasons. So, we were listing a bunch of vacant homes, so that made it easy to sell. And a lot of our competition just said, hey, we're not going to go to market. So that has helped us out, move our houses really quickly. But the issue is, like, so talking about foreclosures, is a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people are just in a wait and see mode right now. It's like an airplane flying over, waiting, to actually land. They're just like, they're in a holding pattern. And with the foreclosure stuff, I don't know, because of the whole forbearance thing, with the whole government printing money thing, I don't know. I mean, I built my business in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, buying foreclosures. That's what I did. And probably bought well over 100 foreclosures over the years, not seeing them at all.
Yeah, because lenders are forbidden from foreclosing right now, right? Yep. I mean, they can't.
And people are seeing that. Like, they're like, what are you going to do? Take my house back? Like, they're like seeing it. They're like, they're not worried about that. So the foreclosure market, you know, me and friends are talking about like there's going to be some next year, but I don't think it's going to be anything like it was in 2009. And also in 2009, you didn't have these big REITs and these hedge funds coming in and wanting to buy thousands and thousands upon thousands of houses. Those guys really didn't start coming to our market in Houston till 2011, 2012, and they've not decreased ever since in their appetite for, you know, Texas real estate and real estate for all over the country for that matter, but especially Texas real estate. They love it. They can't buy enough of it. So we're competing with them. They're driving prices up. Some of them are working with the banks directly to get this inventory before it even goes to the market. So
why do these hedge funds and these REITs, why do they like Texas properties so much?
Well, they want solid assets that cash flow, right? And they're even, you know, where we're looking at a deal, we want at least 25% equity before we're going to buy a deal, meaning that's after all of our repairs, our all-in costs want 25% equity. Well, a lot of these hedge funds, you know, if sometimes they're paying full price for Texas real estate because one, it does cash flow. It produces income for them. It produces cash, which is good for them and their investors. But they're really they're investing for future appreciation. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're doing. I mean, you look at
our average. Sorry to interrupt, for appreciation. Because I mean, I know for rentals, you're kind of in the 150 to 200 space. That's where it really cash flows, right? Is that kind of right? If realtors have
and there are, and even lower. We just bought a house last week or the week before in Dayton, for example, that we bought for less than $50,000. Granted, we're going to spend $45,000 on it. It's like a gut job, 50,000 in it, but we'll be in it for 100. It's worth about 125 or so. And, you know, we love properties like that. And we're even the last several years, we've expanded our geography to, you know, to invest more on the outskirts of town because there's just so much competition, in, you know, inside the Beltway 8, so to speak, of Houston, which is good for your listings when you're selling property. Just there's a lot more competition to buy.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. No, good. Do you see that average appreciation kind of in those price ranges? Is it more on the lower 5%, or is it like 10% a year?
It's appreciating like no other, you know, real estate.
Like 10, 15?
Not that much. Like in the 5% range is
a lot. I mean, if average Houston is, let's say 2 to 3, obviously new home neighborhoods, it's less, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
New construction. But in these developed little rental 150 to 200 areas, you'd say 5 to 7%.
Oh yeah. Because
that's
I mean, what the cost for construction is you know, for something decent, you know, is approaching $100 a square foot, you know, easily. So your 1,500 square foot house, you know, not including your land and all that kind of stuff, you know, you're easily into the low 200s for that 1,500 square foot home. Yeah.
So just to kind of wrap up and just repeat in general, you talked about 1,500. Can you share that one slide again that talked about the 10, 15, 20, as far as, you know, you could use the spreadsheet, but let's say that you were just guesstimating. And then you've got realtors on there in all different price ranges. But let's say that spreadsheet, that slide that you had is assuming 1,500 square feet. So if you've got a 3,000 square foot home, you would just, would you double it? Like would you say, well, 10,000 square feet, you would just times it by 3,000, right? You would use the same factorial.
Well, how big of a house?
Like, let's say it was 3,000. You would take for basic painting and flooring, I would just take $10 a square foot times 3,000, and that's, I'm at 30 grand.
It's easy. Like I said, yeah, just spend 30 grand on,
Okay.
on
On
like,
that size house.
yeah, so easy.
Okay. Got it. Okay, perfect.
And then plus major components.
Well, I wanted to see if there's any, final questions. We're going to start to wrap it up. We are going to draw for our Coffee Bucks winner here in a minute. Brant, I want to really thank you for being on. Here's Brant's information again. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. And your spreadsheet is super cool. I love that website that you've got that really can be a great tool for people. I'm going to get on here our coffee talk again. We're going to draw for a name. So Michelle, if you could, Azúcar Loca Box. My friend Roger roasts this coffee in the Heights. He's got a little house in the Heights. The coffee is really, really good. So we've got a winner for Loca Box. Michelle, do you mind chatting?
Congratulations, Paula. You're the winner.
Oh, who is it?
I'm sorry. Pamela.
Who is it? Pamela Wood?
Uh-huh.
Oh, awesome. There you go, Pamela. Awesome. We'll contact the other side on getting it to you. Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming on. If there's no final questions, I will send this recording out to everybody that popped on, and we're going to put it on social media too. So, Brant, if you have any final comments, otherwise we'll let everyone get back to selling houses.
No, I appreciate coming on. I appreciate your help, Jennifer, with what you're helping me with on my refinance side of things. And anybody, if I can help in any way, just feel free to reach out.
Yeah, you got it. And we're going to get this recording out. We'll get it. It'll come to us recorded. We'll get it out to you all in the morning at the latest on your email.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. Legacy Mutual Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity lender. The opinions expressed here do not reflect those of Legacy Mutual Mortgage.